Nobody can do it any better than Les Hunt. Part of the community, the fabric of Baton Rouge for a long time. All changes, tune-ups, alignments, anything you need done. Hunt's Tire Pros and Car Care Center on Greenwell Springs Road, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. It doesn't get any better.
If you've been injured, it doesn't matter if you were hit by a big truck, a smart car, or anything in between. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hannytime. Hannytime. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hanagriff.
And we welcome you into the Wednesday edition of Hannytime 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hanagriff, Mario Jerez, Matthew Beck here. Jacob Beck. I'm going to do that. Somebody would you write your name down for me, please? I promise you. I'm looking at my LSU baseball screen, okay? And just Matthew Beck comes to, well, your name is Jacob, okay? You've only been working with us for 2 months now, okay? You think I get that right? When you make an error on the first play of the game, man, you know, on days when we lead with football, I never make that mistake, right? Jacob Beck.
One snap and clear, like
yes.
Bobby Hebert says.
Thank you. All right. Let me start the show over. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Handytime. Charles Hanagriff, along with Mario Jerez and Jacob Beck with you. Scott Rabelais in about 14 minutes now since I blew the first minute of the show. First class, second class, no class at the bottom of the hour. And we do start with LSU baseball today. A perfect game pretty much last night for the Tigers in Hammond. As long as you weren't trying to watch it, stream it, broadcast it, it was a perfect game. If you would have sat here yesterday and said, what do you want to see? You want to see LSU win a game easy? They did. They run ruled. They saved a couple innings worth of relief pitching. They did. If Gavin Dugas wasn't going to sit, which we thought he might, then if he's going to play, you want him to get back going again. We know he's been hurting since the injury. He got 3 hits last night, including a home run, so check there. You would want a bunch of pitchers to get a little bit of work, but nobody to get too much work. Check. Gavin Guidry got the start last night. He went 2 1/3. That's a long outing for him. He didn't give up a hit, so that's fantastic. You saw 5 other pitchers. You didn't want to see anybody get hurt. Blake Money left the game, but not with anything, according to Jay Johnson afterwards, that was very serious. You wanted to see LSU get hits throughout the lineup. They got 12. Play a clean game. I know it's a big Hunt Palmer thing. Play a clean game. No errors. So this is about as perfect a midweek game as you can get. For Southeastern, they have been a very good program under Matt Reiser. He's in his 8th full season there. In the previous 7 full seasons there throughout the COVID year, they made the tournament 4 times. They made the tournament last year by winning the conference tournament, and they got in. They lost 2 games over at Auburn in that regional. They finished 30-31. It's the first time they've finished below 500 since Reiser has been there. This time, though, they're really struggling. It's just a down year for what is usually a very good program in Southeastern at 19-22. So for LSU, they've just got a couple of these things left. This was a very good workout for the Tigers last night. They're going to Auburn this weekend, and Auburn has won their last 2 series, and they're going to run into Tommy Vale on Friday night. Now, Vale's overall numbers do not jump off the page at you. He's 4-1 with a 3.80 ERA and a 1.3 WHIP. So those are okay. Certainly done some nice work here, Joel. But 58 strikeouts in 47 innings is a very good number, but 34 walks in 47 innings is not. Thing is, Vail has been hot. They have beaten Alabama, Mississippi State, and South Carolina on their last 3 Friday nights. The South Carolina win was particularly impressive because it's the second game that South Carolina's lost at home all year up to last Friday night. And in his last 16 2/3 innings pitched, he's only given up 2 runs. He's only given up 9 hits. He's still walking a bunch of people. He walked 6 in 5 innings against South Carolina the other night and got away with the win. Was more fortunate than a snake charmer with a flute the other night, getting out of trouble. 6 walks and 4 hits. That's for my friend Lynn Rollins. He would like that. He would like that analogy. So that's what LSU's looking at. But after Vail, stop me if you've heard this before. This is the last 3 weekends of Saturday, Sunday for Auburn. Against South Carolina on Saturday, the starter went 4. They used 3 pitchers. On Sunday, the starter went 2 2/3. They used 8 pitchers. Week before that, against Alabama, on Saturday, the starter went 1 inning. They used 5 pitchers. On Sunday, the starter went 4. They used 5 pitchers. Against Mississippi State, on Saturday, the starter went 5. They used 6 pitchers. On Sunday, the starter went 1 2/3. They used 3 pitchers. They are doing what it seems like everybody in the league is doing this season because the offensive numbers are so up. You hope you get one really good Friday night guy, that your Friday night guy can go out there. And even across the league, the Friday night guys, their numbers are not what you would usually expect. And then Saturday and Sunday, you are going to go largely by committee. Not everybody's doing this. There are some solid Saturday starters out in the league. There's even a couple of guys on Sunday that have eaten up some innings. But this is what you're going to see. LSU used 6 pitchers in this game last night. They used 7 pitchers in the middle game of the series last weekend. And that's what they're going to see from Auburn this weekend. A whole bunch of pitchers, and you're just hoping that 1 or 2 of them get hot for you. And by hot out of the bullpen, I mean can give you more than 1 or 2 innings. You get a guy that comes out of the bullpen and gives you 3 innings, that guy's the player of the game on Saturday and Sunday a lot of times because these things, in a lot of cases, are ending up 11-6 or 12-9 or whatever. So this is the kind of games that you're going to have to get used to seeing in the postseason. If you're hoping that LSU or anybody else really is going to miraculously find 3 rock-solid starters and a closer, the only team I've seen like that so far this year, and even them, it's kind of Johnny-come-lately, is Wake Forest. Wake Forest has got 3 hammers up at the top of the rotation. They've got a reliever with 10 saves. But they're not playing the Southeastern Conference either. And you know how some years we say, oh, man, look, the SEC and the ACC, they're pretty close. There's even been at least 1 or 2 of those years where you could make a case that the ACC was better than the SEC. You know how we say that some years? We don't say that this year. The SEC is miles and miles and miles and miles and less miles and more miles ahead of everybody else this year. So one other thing I wanted to point out, wanted to talk about here, is we're starting to see a little bit more of the projections for the Major League Baseball draft. This is not any new news at all, but I thought I would throw it out there because it's a little bit of an update. This is Kylie McDaniel, who does all of basically the Mel Kiper of baseball for ESPN as far as doing projections. McDaniel's projections for Dylan Cruz is the number 1 pick in the draft. That is not anything new. What they have done, though, is they've updated all of their rankings, and they're now calling Dylan Cruz the best non-pitching prospect in the draft since 2019. They believe that there's a good chance if Cruz finishes the season like he has gone so far, that he will be rated higher than Rushman, who was the slam dunk number 1 pick back in 2019 to the Orioles and got to the big leagues very quickly, is going to be even higher than that. So no big surprise here, but Dylan Cruz is not just number one, but what is this? Number one and widening the gap. Who's that? That old commercial? Was it Lloyd McLeod? Number one and widening the gap. Anyway, so Cruz is going to be number one, but the number two prospect here is Paul Skeens, and their mock draft has these two guys going with the first two pitchers, with the first two picks of the draft. Here's the update on Skeens. ESPN is now calling Skeens the best draft pitching prospect since Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole was drafted in 2011. So if you're concerned at all about this LSU team, and I understand that there's relief pitching problems and sometimes there's fielding problems, and they're not perfect, but they are so good that they have the number one hitting prospect in at least 4 years, and maybe going back. They're calling him Baby Trout, and maybe going back 5, 10 years as far as a hitting prospect for Cruz. If you're going to go back to Trout, you got to go back 15 if that's what he ends up being at the end of the season. And Skeens is the best pitching prospect on their board in 12 years. And I think we're seeing what Garrett Cole is off to a historic start with the Yankees right now. 7 starts, below a 1.5 ERA. No Yankee pitcher has opened up a season doing that. They've had some pretty good guys that have come along through in the pinstripes and pitched. So just a little bit of an update there on the LSU guys, because as good as this program has been, they've never had the top 2 picks in a draft. In fact, it's only been a couple of times that they've had multiple number 1 picks in the draft. So Cruz can start checking out the housing market in Pittsburgh, and Skeens, according to ESPN, can start taking out the housing market in Washington. Thing is, with Cruz, Pirates are good now. But what happens when you're good and you get the first pick? He could be on that team next year. No, not could. Going to. If he's not in the big leagues in 2024, I'll be very, very surprised. And that goes the same for Skeens. All right, we will take a break. Scott Rabelais from The Advocate with us. SEC meetings are about 4 weeks away, but the teams are talking again this week. Scheduling again. It ain't done. This is going to be a 15-round marathon fight before it's done. But at the end of the month, in the words of Commissioner Sankey, at some point we got to vote. Somebody's going to have to play somebody. A lot of people are going to be angry. We're closing in on that. Biggest decision by the Southeastern Conference to me, as far as internal operations in my career, coming up at the end of this. In 30-plus years, outside of adding the teams, the SEC has never made had a bigger decision to make than the football scheduling model that goes into place at the end of this month, starting in 2024. Because we're going to be stuck with it for a long time. Even if they bring further teams into the league, they'll probably just fold them into this model. This is a big deal. They're talking about it again today. Arguing, if you prefer that word. This is Hannytime, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hannytime.
Infinity of Baton Rouge. We had a chance, once again, multiple times now that we bought vehicles from Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. And the process just simply could not have been easier. Listen, when you go to the Certified Pre-Owned program, which is a favorite of mine, you're going to get a vehicle that's back up to specs, because it goes through such a rigorous inspection that they're going to give you a 100,000-mile powertrain warranty to go with it. That's how confident they are that they have that vehicle back up to code. Then you get the make, the model, the years, the mileage, the price, of course, is going to be most important. Those things, they're going to be able to tailor to your needs. They're going to be able to go to this outstanding amount of inventory that they've got, find you the vehicle that makes sense for you and your family. You're going to get 1 year's worth of maintenance taken care of. You're going to get roadside assistance complimentary, and you're going to get a complimentary vehicle to use while you bring your car in for maintenance. You can get a quote on your vehicle at Infinity of Baton Rouge right now in less than 15 minutes, and they will buy your vehicle for cash. On Airline Highway, Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah.
You don't know what you're doing.
Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. The cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clash and chrome meets.
Okay. I'm proud of you. All those people in the house are proud of you.
Again, it's heating up. Your boats get ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's
for the Wednesday edition of Game Time. We're live from Modesto, getting you ready for Cinco de Mayo. Modesto on Burbank. It's Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Wednesday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hannytime with Charles Hanagriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we're back here on Hannytime 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. The Handycast will drop a little bit later this afternoon. It is about the meetings going on this week. Rabelais from The Advocate is with us. He goes to Destin every year because he likes to play golf. Scott, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm stuck in a basement most of the time. I play golf once the whole week, one time. Most of the rest of the time, I'm stuck in the basement of a hotel, Charles.
A hotel in Destin, Scott. Don't dumb this down, okay? We know you're going on vacation.
I'm trying to make it sound as good as I can.
Right. You know, this is the one event that I have never covered in my crowd. Everything that the SEC does, I think I've covered everything else at some point. But I've never covered this because it's always right in the middle of baseball. And so I've just never had the chance to go down there. But this is a big one, okay? And I'm bringing it up this week because we just had the postseason schedule announced in the last 5 or 6 days, and for 24, and we've got the SEC ADs that are talking this week because in 4 weeks they got to vote. And according to our good friend Ross Dellinger, they're still at a stalemate over exactly how this is going to work. You have any thoughts 4 weeks to the deadline before we move on to other topics?
On a scheduling format, I mean, I think greedier heads will prevail, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And they're going to go to 9 games with 3 permanent opponents and 6 rotating opponents, instead of staying at 8, because they want to, the ESPN, ABC, Disney, they're going to want more inventory, and they don't want to televise LSU playing Illinois State or Auburn playing Toledo or something like that. They want another SEC game, and I think it's going to lead to an imbalanced schedule, and Alabama will get to play 5 home games every year. Just kidding. But
don't say that too loud. They might actually take you for your word.
But I mean, it just makes the most sense. I mean, first of all, and let's say for one last time, what a terrible scheduling format the SEC has had for all these years. It's just been so inequitable that it just it almost leaves you speechless. But this is going to be good. You got to play 3 opponents in your neighborhood probably, and you got to play 6 teams home and home. You can play the next 6 home and home, and then you're going to go back around again. And I think that's going to be good. So I know what people around here want. In terms of LSU, they want the 9-game format. There's still some people wedded to an 8-game format, but they're going to have to see the light and go to more games and go to this deal. They've already decided to do away with divisional play, so that will go away after this year. So it's just going to be one big 16-team free-for-all, and the top 2 teams make it to the SEC championship game. Will there be some wailing and complaining, Charlie, when somebody's 9-0 in the SEC playing something that's 7-2 in the SEC championship game, and they're like, "Hey, man, we did all this. We were undefeated. Why do we got to put this on the line? We should give us the trophy." So there'll be some of that, but I think in the long run they're going to see the benefit of. I'll be shocked if with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, there's not a little more money to sweeten the pot from ESPN.
Yeah, and I'm not breaking any news here. This has been widely reported. Obviously, we're an ESPN affiliate. There were layoffs again at ESPN last week, and so there are budget constraints. I mean, ESPN doesn't have an unlimited amount of money, so how much they're going to get. ESPN's bidding on the football playoff too, but the scheduling of it is fascinating because if the schedule holds for 24, Scott, I was looking at this. The USC game is locked in Vegas, okay, for LSU, and I'm assuming that UCLA game is going to survive in some form. I mean, LSU's been left holding the bag on home and home series where they went and gave the away game and didn't get the home game back. They're going to forever hold the bag on Texas and Arizona State. They barely got Virginia Tech in here, and they'll never get them again. So I assume they want that UCLA game, and if it holds in 2024, LSU could play 3 non-conference games, of which 2 are USC and UCLA, 9 conference games, of which one of them could be Oklahoma or Texas. They play in an SEC championship game and 4 playoff games if they were not one of the top 4 seeds. That would be the most entertaining schedule in the history of LSU football, maybe college football altogether. That's what we're looking at. We could be going from the 3 rental wins to not just 1 rental win, but a rental win plus playoffs. It's very exciting, Scott. And the most exciting thing is that they actually got Nick Saban to change his mind. He was all 9 games. Yeah, he was even for 10 games until he saw who the SEC was going to give him. Now he's back on the 8-game bandwagon. So ain't nothing done. Okay. Let's move on. Saints draft. What did you think? What did you like? What did you not like?
I think overall, what's the line from History of the World Part 2? Nice, not thrilling, but nice. They addressed some needs. Clearly, obviously, pass rush. To say the Saints pass rusher was anemic would be to do injustice to the word. So obviously they addressed that with is it Breesy or how do we say he could Brian?
Brzee is
Brzee, okay.
that's how Goodell said it, so that's how I'm saying it. If
Brzee.
If Goodell mispronounced it, I'm pronouncing it too.
And Isaiah Foskey, obviously from Notre Dame. B.J. Ojulari went in that same neighborhood of the draft, but we'll gloss over the fact that Saints don't draft LSU players very much. Seems like there's a lot of base covering in the Saints draft. Obviously, the huge need pass rush. Always need an offensive lineman, so they got this kid Nick Salvadori from Old Dominion. Worried about the Alvin Kamara deal, so they got Kendra Miller from TCU, who I saw play in the national championship game. Didn't see him do very much because obviously Georgia just pasted TCU. But I did, you did note going into the game he had very good numbers and was an impressive running back going into the year. And then Jake Hayner, the quarterback from Fresno State, got Derek Carr, but you want to hedge your bets, just looking for a long-term backup. That kind of thing. So I've got a wide receiver in there, a safety. So I think overall a good draft addressing me. There were so many needs, Charlie, for the Saints, obviously, that you probably couldn't deal with them all in one draft within the confines of one 7-round draft. But I think they got a lot of them that they could. So I'll give them a solid B plus.
The Saints have run some of their best teams after they've gotten players in draft spots that were not premium. You think about the 2006 team. Well, what did that team get? They got a breakout performance out of Marcus Colston, who was a 7th-round pick. They got a breakout performance out of Pierre Thomas, who was not drafted at all. The years that they have drafted the Jimmy Grahams in the 3rd rounds, or the Jairi Evans in the 4th round, or the Carl Nixes in the 3rd round, or the Alvin Kamaras, those guys that became great players. That's how you get ahead. That's how you balance your salary cap. See, then you can go sign a free agent because you've got draft picks that are overperforming their contracts, and it's hard to do that in free agency. So I'm with you. It was a functional draft. Can we use that word? Functional?
Excellent word.
Yeah,
Excellent word.
I like that. All right, so now I want to know how it is that you, longtime scribe covering women's basketball, and have literally, I think detailed everything that Kim Mulkey's had for lunch in the last month, missed the trip to New York yesterday.
Yeah, that was a bit of a bummer. If they want to send me to the White House when they eventually go without Iowa, I would gladly go there. But this is a neat little trip, and I don't think, again, I think we're all still adjusting to how big this program is and how well they're going to continue to do. But this was a big deal. She went to New York for the Winged Foot Award with Dan Hurley, the coach from UConn. They bring them in, and she told me they don't take no for an answer. The New York Athletic Club. They're going to find a date that both of you can come, and they're going to honor you. But and then she got to ring the bell and drop the gavel on the New York Stock Exchange or the closing bell, and then as Michael Cobble tweeted today, she told me she brings the whole staff. And she lets them go do whatever they want to do in New York, shopping, shows, ball games, whatever, and she pays for everything. So I imagine they're still up there today having a good time. It's a nice place to make your playground for a couple of days. So very nice reward for Coach Mulkey. I would have loved to have gone, but I'm sure there'll be other opportunities to cover big things involving women's basketball in the future.
Finally, I'm going to ask you, because this was just so eye-catching to me when I saw it. Angel Reese was on Instagram. This was yesterday or the day before. And she is on the side of a brand new Mercedes. It's got a big bow on it, like it's a gift. Now, Scott, how many times did we see things over the years in the NCAA where football players or basketball players were driving vehicles, let's just say, that should have been well out of their price range, and recruiting violations, and look who bought so-and-so a car. I love the caption of it, though. You see Angel Reese on the side of her new car with the big red bow on the hood, and she says at the bottom, "Look what I bought for myself." Look what I bought myself for my birthday. And so it's just all legal now. And an athlete is able to earn the type of money that where she can go buy herself a new Mercedes. This is not what I did my sophomore year in college, Scott. I promise you. When I was working part-time at the radio station, I did not go and buy myself a brand new Mercedes. But Angel Reese can do that now.
It makes your head swim, Charlie. How fast all these things change. That's a great example. Other example, the players are they're posting stuff on Instagram about Anissa Morrow's visit. Videos and stuff. That used to be illegal too, right? You can't publicize a player's recruiting visit. And now it's like she's in here, she's in the video with them. It's like. I mean, LSU's not putting it out itself, but I mean, the players, and it's like, in the past they would have been, told, don't do anything, don't say anything. But right. It's amazing. I mean, because you can decry it, or you can also, you can look at it. The amateurism is dead, and you can say that, or you can look at it. If you're a fan of LSU, you can say, well, maybe let's keep Angel Reese here this year, and maybe even next year, because she's probably making more NIL money than she would be if she was in the WNBA. I mean, Aaliyah Boston from South Carolina just went number 1 overall. She's going to play for $75,000 this coming season. I dare say Angel Reese is making a little more than that through the NIL.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, if you can achieve that level of play and that level of fame, and you can back it up, which she did, you get rewarded for it. Go and buy yourself a new Mercedes. Good, good work. If you can back it up, which she did, go right ahead. That's pretty good. It was just very startling to see,
absolutely,
a player. Hey, here's my Mercedes. Bought it for myself. Good for you. Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Scott. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Charlie. Take care.
We'll take a break. We'll do first class, second class, no class. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hannytime.
Big Mike's out in Denham Springs. Jitterbug classes continuing this Thursday at 6 o'clock. And Alex Harbert following that from 7 until 10 on stage. Mario, how your steps coming? You doing well? Your footwork good? We're happy about that. Friday is Cinco de Mayo. DJ K-Jack from 8 until 12 at Big Mike's. All weekend long, hot ball crawfish come out at 11 o'clock. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you want to get your private get-togethers at Big Mike's, maybe graduation parties are coming up. Multiple size party rooms, depending on the size of your group, are available, or they'll do off-site catering for you as we get those graduates lined up here at the middle to the end of the month. Happy hour Monday through Friday, 3 until 7, and it's all day on Sunday, starting at 11 o'clock with 40 TVs. You go out, watch the baseball, the basketball, the golf, the NASCAR, all at Big Mike's. On Aspen Boulevard in Denham Springs, Big Mike's were kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hannytime, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
What's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenge.
On Thursday's OTB, we'll check in on the Diamond as Coach Jay Johnson and Beth Tarina stop by to preview their upcoming battles over the weekend. Plus, don't forget, a brand new Munchies. Chef Michael Johnson, off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hannytime with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hannytime. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
First class, second class, and no class. All right, we started off with a clip you might have seen, might have heard. This was just too good not to revisit. I am not a Dallas Cowboys fan. Okay, I did like Deuce Vaughn when I saw him at Kansas State. I liked watching him play because I thought it was a guy that was giving you everything he had and was making the most out of his ability. He's about 5'6". Okay. If you look real hard, you can see Darren Sproles, and I don't want to make that comparison just because they both went to Kansas State, but there's a lot of Sproles to his game. So for somebody that's 5'6" and probably 175, maybe 180 pounds, that's a tough little dude, man. And he was a terrific player for K-State. Well, last week he got drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, where his father, Chris, is the team's assistant director of college scouting, and Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy let Chris Vaughn make the call to his son.
That's right, son. Listen to me. This is the trips in the car. This is the continuation. But when we start playing football, everything takes care of itself. Okay? I'm proud of you. All those people in the house are proud of you. Okay? Just understand it ain't when, it's where.
Put Vaughn on the trip.
This was just so special. When you think about the odds on this happening, okay, first of all, that a kid 5'6", 175 pounds is going to be a major college football player. The odds are enormously against you. All right, the odds that that player after he plays college football is going to be drafted in the NFL. I mean, it's impossible to one almost. And then that your father is the assistant director of scouting there, and that's the team that picks you in the 6th round, okay? I would imagine that for Chris Vaughn, they've had to have discussions about every player on their board for months. This is what scouts do. It had to be extremely uncomfortable for him. In one way, you don't want to play your son up too much because then it looks like nepotism. You don't want to downplay it because you want to give the kid every opportunity that he's entitled to have. And make no mistake, Deuce Vaughn deserved to get drafted based on his career at Kansas State. But then to have it fall to you, there's 31 other teams that could have taken Deuce Vaughn or somebody over his head in Cowboy hierarchy. And by that, I mean Jerry Jones could have said, look, we love the kid. We think he's fantastic, but we just can't take him here. To have all of that come together and have Chris Vaughn be able to call his son and say, the Dallas Cowboys drafted you, and you can come to work with me next week. I'm sorry, first class. The story got to me. I know it's been replayed a bunch of times, but I couldn't help myself today. It was just too good. Deuce Vaughn, Chris Vaughn, good luck. Not against the Saints, but good luck moving forward. It was a first-class story. Second class, I was informed by our program director, Matt Moscona, yesterday that something I said on the show on Monday had received an unusually high volume of views on TikTok. Okay, see, Mario's over here filming me for TikTok now, and I don't know what goes on. That all goes to processing here, and whatever I say they find interesting ends up on TikTok now. So that's good. We're all for exposure, and that's fine. I'll back up any take I've got, but it was what I said about Jake Haener on Monday, that got all of the attention. And what I said was this outlandish statement that Jake Haener was not Drew Brees. It's because he's the same height and the same weight and wears the same number and has some manner, not Drew Brees. Okay. I'm very glad that I did something on Saturday because now I don't have to ask you to believe me. I can prove it. I love this pick. I love this quarterback, okay? I think that getting Jake Haener in the 4th round is an outstanding pick. I said I don't like it. I love it. I say that not knowing if Jake Haener is ever going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He might be, and I'm hoping for nothing but success. I only said that it's not fair to compare him to Drew Brees. And I thought that was a simple enough thing because Drew Brees has thrown for 80,000 yards and is going to the Hall of Fame and, has a Super Bowl win and all that stuff. But I wouldn't even really compare him to the college Drew Brees all that much. Yeah, the height, weight, and the number, okay. But you have to understand. I'll run the numbers for you here. Haener completed 68% of his passes, Brees 61%. Brees threw for about 2,500 yards more. He threw for about 22 more touchdowns. He threw a lot more interceptions. Brees threw 45 interceptions to only 18 for Haener. Because you have to understand what Drew Brees was in college. And this is past all of the, I don't like the athletic comparisons that I made earlier in the week. Brees was a better athlete than Haener, but it does not mean that Haener was not a fantastic college quarterback. Drew Brees was playing in an offense that was designed by Joe Tiller at Purdue in the late 90s that was unlike anything anybody in college football was running at the time, and certainly different than anything anybody in the Big Ten was running at that time. The Big Ten at that point was 3 yards in a puff of snow. They went in there and completely changed the narrative, what Tiller's offense was, and Brees was the perfect guy to run it. When he left Purdue, Drew Brees was the all-time leader in the Big Ten, the history of the Big Ten Conference, in completions, attempts, passing yards, and touchdowns, okay? Drew Brees once threw the ball 83 times in a game in college. And amazingly, that's no longer a record. Somebody named Connor Holiday from Washington State threw it 89 against Oregon about 15 years after that. But my point is that what Haener is running is a normal college offense. Now, what Brees was running back then was not. It was anything but. So the numbers were inflated. The attempts were inflated. The touchdowns were inflated. The interceptions were inflated. Let Jake Haener be, okay, without the compare. It's great that Brees was somebody he looked up to growing up. Fantastic. Let's just not make that comparison, please. That's all I was trying to say. I like Jake Haener. Don't, please. The little thing that was posted, that are you responsible for that? Or is
I think Taylor actually cut it up.
Taylor, okay, we'll go down the hall and blame him. It was just that, listen, he's plenty good enough prospect. Let's not compare him to the Hall of Famer right now. Second class. Good with a chance to be great. Jake Haener. I hope he's great. Big fan. No class this week goes to Deion Sanders, and not probably for the reason that you might think, which is that there has been a house cleaning at Colorado. Deion Sanders said this week that he was ashamed of the 31 teams that didn't take an HBCU player. Isaiah Bolden, who's a defensive back for Deion at Jackson State, was taken in the 7th round by the New England Patriots and was the only HBCU player that was drafted. 20 HBCU players signed contracts as undrafted free agents. Now, to be clear, Deion did a great thing going to Jackson State. He did not have to take that job. He's made all the money, could get a job, in broadcasting. He's got businesses. He's run a school. He went to Jackson State because he wanted to coach, and he wanted to bring more attention. And by attention, I mean funding and money and, donations to an HBCU school. And that was great. And then he took a better job. I didn't think of it as him abandoning an HBCU school like a lot of people say. Well, he abandoned. No, he brought a lot of light to the school, and then proved that you can go there and have success, and then go somewhere else and have some success if that is what your choosing is. Inspired somebody like Eddie George to go take a similar job. But when Deion got to Colorado and they didn't televise, but they recorded that first meeting with the team, what did he say? A lot of you guys are going to be going. The ones that we don't run off, we're going to try to make you quit. I'm bringing my luggage, and it's Louis. Why did he do that? Because Colorado went 1-11 last year. And the players there weren't good enough. Now, there was a time when, before the transfer portal was in its current state, and before the transfer rules were in their current state, that the players were somewhat protected. If you had a scholarship, you didn't get run off, even if you weren't any good. If you wanted to stick around and continue to go to practice and continue to sit the bench, you stayed on scholarship. That was up until about 10 years ago. But with the ability to move from school to school goes also the possibility that they can just cut you now. They can run you off. They cannot renew your scholarship. So if you want to have the ability to move without restriction, you have to take the risk that you can be cut without restriction. And I didn't blame Deion. Like, he's got a job to do there. And clearly the players that he had, that he inherited, were not good. Most of them were not good. So 53 Colorado Buffaloes were in the transfer portal. 30 of them after the spring game, which was just on April the 22nd. And why? Because they weren't good enough. Same reason that 31 NFL teams didn't take the players from HBCUs. Not for any other reason than they weren't good enough. It's not because HBCUs don't produce outstanding NFL players. That happens. It happens a lot, as a matter of fact. For a long time, the leading rusher in the history of the National Football League, Walter Payton, was from an HBCU. And the current all-time leader in receptions and yards in the NFL Football League, Jerry Rice, was from an HBCU. But this year, most of the players that were drafted, all but one, were not from HBCUs. Why? Because teams are taking the best players. Do they make mistakes? All the time. Go back 4 years. Go back and get the draft 4 years ago, Mario, and see how many guys turned into busts. How many? We just saw it this week. It was about half of the players drafted in the first round 3 years ago got a second or got their contract extension for the 5th year. So they got half of them wrong. They're going to get at least that many wrong this year. But it's not because they went to HBCUs. It's because they are making the best call that they can make. Same way you are. So don't do one thing and tell me something else. You want the best players at Colorado. That's your job. I don't blame you for cutting all those guys. That's how the business works now. Don't blame the NFL guys for trying to win because they're drafting the best players, no matter where they went to school. We'll take a break, come back and wrap things up here. Hannytime, 104.5, ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hannytime.
Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. You know, no matter what type of get-together you're having, you make a dish with rice, right? Make some red beans, make some white beans, make some gumbo, make some etouffee. Jambalaya, festival season. We love jambalaya. Make it with Supreme Rice. Get more for your dollar. Make it easy to pick up and get it in the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine. And you're going to be supporting our Louisiana farmers while you're enjoying a delicious product. Because all our Supreme Rice has been grown, milled, and processed down in southwest Louisiana near Crowley since the 1930s. So the next time you're at an AG food store, at a Walmart, at a Rouse's, wherever you buy rice, make it Supreme Rice. For more information, some great recipes, some unique stuff, go to the website at SupremeRice.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, what's what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Failure happens to us all, but it's our champion.
This is Hannytime with Charles Hanagriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
In the Bayou Ford chat, the program director says we're going first class for nepotism. Nepotism is if Jerry Jones had drafted his son and he couldn't play. I don't think that Chris Vaughn has got so much influence in the Cowboy organization that he can will his son to be picked just on his own desires. Not to mention that this is a 6th-round pick, okay? And Deuce Vaughn, if you watched him play in college, is worth a 6th-round pick. It's not like the 6th-round picks are going to be the first player that they're going to put out there on the field every day. So, no, I don't. If they draft Jerry Jones's son in the 2nd round and he's out of Northwest Idaho Tech and he can't play a lick, that's nepotism. This was just a really good story. Ask Hanny, do you ever remember a team that has told a player to get lost as the Grizzlies did to Dylan Brooks? Brooks did that to himself. Yes, I have, but it's usually for. I'm thinking about guys that ran their mouth and got run off. And the first player that came to my mind was Terrell Owens, who got run off. And he's not the only one. It was just the first person that came to my mind. Owens was always a productive guy, always played hard, was always in shape. Why'd he play for 6 teams? Because he ran his mouth and eventually people got tired of it. The difference between Terrell Owens and Dylan Brooks is Terrell Owens was a Hall of Famer and Dylan Brooks is just a good basketball player. By no means great. So your level of production is directly related to how big of a pain in the ass you can be. The more talent, the bigger pain you can be. Terrell Owens, big talent, big pain. Dylan Brooks, under no circumstances are you coming back to Memphis. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom